This incredibly subtle work was painted by Rosalba Carriera, who was one of the most celebrated artists of the 18th century. It was made in around 1720, and it was part of a series of allegorical representations of the four continents, as the series then was known. Carriera was a pioneer of this medium, and if you look closely you can just see how subtle her technique was. The way in which these colours are sort of blended seamlessly into one another, which you can do with pastels and which you can't of course do with oil paint or watercolour. What's interesting about this work is that you can see the various cultural attributes of Africa as they were perceived in those times. I mean, you notice, for example, the very exotic style of costume. The small scorpion, which is a reference to the dangers of this unknown land. And of course the pearls, which are a reference to its mineral riches. There were very few successful professional women artists working in 18th century Europe, but Carriera was one of them. She was celebrated throughout Europe for her technical virtuosity. I mean, she was celebrated in Paris. And when she first arrived in Paris, she had commissions coming in left, right and centre. Everyone wanted their portraits painted by Carriera. Unlike in her formal portraits, which were necessarily restrained, in these allegorical works, the figures come to life. There's a sort of heightened theatric with them. And that's what I think makes this work so interesting, so engaging. These allegorical works were often produced and displayed as sets, but this is the only recorded example of this type by Carriera's hand that has so far come to light. Carriera's allegorical representations of the other three continents can be found in museums around the world, including the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington and the Cooper Hewitt in New York.